Hi there, this is Harry and welcome back to Advanced English Lessons with Harry, where I try to help you to get a better understanding of the English language. And in a previous comment, somebody asked me to smile a little bit more. So I'll try to smile a little bit more through the lessons because I'm normally a happy chappy, particularly when my football team wins. Okay, so this particular advanced lesson is all to do with idioms and idioms about fruit. And as usual, we have 10 of them. I'll give them to you. 1 to 10, and then I'll explain them and give you an example. So, number 1 is going bananas.
So as if you catch a glimpse of it, you won't think you're going bananas.
When we feel we are going a little bit crazy, or the kids are running around and screaming, oh gee, I'm going bananas, they are driving me bananas, the noise, I wish they could go outside and play, but it's been raining cats and dogs, so they can hardly go out there. They'll catch their death of cold. So unfortunately, I have to put up with the noise, but I'm really going bananas. So I can't wait for their father to come home so he can take over and I can have a rest. Okay, so to going bananas, or some project that you're working on could be driving you bananas. I just can't figure this out. I mean, I have all the statistics here and I've tried, but it just doesn't make sense. I think I'll leave it until tomorrow because otherwise I'm just going to go mad. It is driving me bananas. To go pear-shaped. Well, when things go pear-shaped, they go really bad.
Last week, everything went pear-shaped.
If you stand a pear on the table, it's thin at the top and wide at the bottom. So when things go pear-shaped, things collapse or they fall. So somebody could have set up a small business a year or two ago and then they run into some financial difficulty. And when you're talking to the friend and the friend says, oh, how's that business you started? I haven't seen you for ages. Oh, it went pear-shaped very quickly. We ran into problems with COVID. And of course, customers didn't come in. And then we had all sorts of issues with the staff. It was the worst decision I've ever made. So it went pear-shaped very quickly. So when something goes pear-shaped, it goes out of control, just something that you cannot get back to a proper working order. And we often use it when we talk about businesses, that when we start them off, they start off okay, but then they get into trouble, so they go pear-shaped. Or a relationship, how is the relationship with that new girl he met? Oh, that went pear-shaped very, very quickly. Or we could just use it when we're telling somebody, look, I'm always helping you out. I'm always getting you out of trouble. So whenever anything goes pear-shaped, you come running to me. But that's it. You never take my advice. So you could use it when you're talking to a friend about the advice that you like to give them and they ask for it, but they never take it. So when things go pear-shaped, that's when they come running to you. When somebody is the apple of your eye, well, fathers or grandfathers or grandmothers usually say it about their kids or their grandkids. He's the apple, or she is the apple of his eye. So the mother talking about the daughter, and the father cannot see anything wrong. Everything she does, it's perfect. Everything she does is brilliant. She never makes any mistakes. But you know what her father thinks. She is the apple of his eye. No matter what she does, it's going to smell like gold. Okay, so she is the apple of his eye. Apples and oranges. Well, apples and oranges are different, very different. You know all about it from the skin, the color, and the taste. So we use apples and oranges when we're comparing things. You say, well, you can't compare living in a house to living in an apartment because it's like comparing apples and oranges. They're very, very different. Or you can't compare living in the country to living in the city because it's very different. It's like comparing apples and oranges. So when two things are very different and you're trying to draw some comparisons, it's really impossible because they're not alike at all. Okay, so apples and oranges refers to making comparisons that are not quite accurate or right because the two things are very, very different. A bite at the cherry, or a second bite at the cherry. A second bite at the cherry means to have a second chance. Okay, so perhaps you went for a job interview and maybe it didn't go so well the first time and you weren't so sure, and so maybe the questions didn't suit you. But then out of the blue, they ring you up and said, we didn't offer you the job the first time, but we've had a second thought and we've got another position and perhaps you'd like to have another interview, and would you come and meet us next Wednesday? So you put down the phone and you talk to your partner and you say, God, you never believe it, that company, they've rung me again. I'm getting a second bite of the cherry, meaning a second chance. I really need to get this job, so I'll go and brush up on the areas that I thought I was weak on the first time, and hopefully this time I'll be a little bit more successful, to have a bite or a second bite at the cherry to give you another chance, another opportunity. Or you could be just simply watching a football match and your team is losing 1 or 2-0, getting close to the end of the game. It's a cup game, very important. And then out of the blue, your team scores 2 quick goals and the game goes to extra time and you get a second bite of the cherry. They've got another opportunity, another 30 minutes to try and get that other goal, in which case they might continue in the cup. So a second bite of the cherry. If you do like this particular lesson, then please like the video, and if you can, subscribe to the channel because it really, really helps. And still sticking to the theme of cherries, the next one, number 6, I think it is the cherry on top of the cake. Yeah, so when we make a cake or bake a cake, you know, they usually look and taste very delicious. But if we want it to really look perfect, we put a little cherry on the top. So the cherry on top of the cake is that extra little something that makes something really, really special. So you could be talking about the perfect weekend or the perfect holiday, and you're explaining to your friend that you went away with your wife for a weekend or for a holiday that was long overdue. The weather was perfect, the sun was shining, everything was wonderful. And what really put the cherry on top of the cake is when you arrived at the hotel, they offered you an upgrade for no extra charge to a big suite of rooms. So not only did you have the sunshine, not only did you have the perfect setting, but you also had the perfect room, top floor, beautiful view, balcony, the whole works. Yeah. Okay. So that was your cherry on top of that particular cake. So when you have a cherry on top of the cake, or something is the cherry on the cake, it's that little bit of something that just finishes it off. Yeah. You could be redecorating your home. You could be doing some renovations, and the cherry on the cake is when your friends come and tell you, wow, that's beautiful. I've never seen anything like this. It's really, you've made a really great job. And they present you with some really nice painting that you can hang above your bed or on the wall. So that's the cherry on the cake. Okay, so something just to finish everything off, just to get it absolutely to perfection. To upset the apple cart.
Look, I can assure you it wasn't my intention to upset the apple cart.
You might see some movies from time to time when there's a chase, a car chase or a bicycle chase or something, people are running through the streets, and inevitably there are stalls, market stalls in the street where people are selling fruit and vegetables, and somebody trips over, falls into the apple cart, and everything falls all over the street. So that's literally what happens to upset the apple cart. So figuratively, when we're talking about upsetting the apple cart, it means that we cause some problems that perhaps we didn't mean to, so we have to quickly apologize. So perhaps in a business meeting, your colleagues are talking about the launch of a new product and everybody's getting ready for the launch in a few weeks, and you say, look, I'm really sorry, I don't mean to upset the apple cart, but the IT is not going to be ready in time. We're not going to have that program ready. We're going to have to delay, or you're going to have to delay the launch of this product. Otherwise, we're going to have huge problems. We're not going to be able to sell any of these products online. So that's to upset the apple cart. You've come along and everybody's really delighted that it's making progress and they're looking forward to that launch, as I said. But unfortunately, you come in and you upset the apple cart by telling them that the IT project, the work needed, is not going to be ready. Okay, so when somebody upsets the apple cart, they tell somebody that something's not going to work, or something's going to change, or something's not going to be as good as they thought it would be, and then really that's it. There's a big, big problem. So to upset the apple cart. And again, the next one about grapes, sour grapes. Well, nobody likes eating sour grapes. Ugh, yeah, it makes your face twist. Yeah, so it's nice to have a nice sweet grape to chew and to eat. Sour grapes is when somebody behaves badly. Yeah, okay, so they don't get their own way, they don't get what they want to do, and they refuse then to participate. And so somebody says to them, it's only sour grapes. Yeah, so perhaps the kids are playing football at school or netball or volleyball, and the teacher picks not your son or daughter, but somebody else to be captain of the team. And then your son and daughter come home and say, oh, I'm not going to play with that team anymore. And you ask, why? What's the problem? Well, they picked John to be captain, and I wanted to be captain, so I'm not going to play. So that's only sour grapes. So just go in tomorrow, congratulate him on being selected for the team, and make sure you play as well as you can when the game comes around. And the same way in the office. So somebody gets promoted and somebody is overlooked for the position, so that person refuses to talk or congratulate the person who got the promotion, and they say, what's up with Mary? Don't worry, it's only a bit of sour grapes because she didn't get picked. She's really happy for you, but she's very disappointed herself. So when somebody gets let down a little bit, didn't get the promotion, didn't get picked to be captain of the team, then yeah, there's a bit of sour grapes. They just don't feel so good about congratulating the other person, even though they know it's nothing to do with them. Then we have a bad or a rotten apple.
A rotten apple quickly infects its neighbour, and we want no more like thee.
Well, you know what happens when you buy a bag of apples. It happened to me this morning. I picked up a bag of apples in the supermarket, and I was just at the checkout, and I was picking up the apples, and I noticed that one of them was bad, so I took it back, because one bad apple will make all the other apples bad within a couple of days. Okay, so if we have a bad or rotten apple, then we have to take it out. Okay, so if you have somebody in the team, in the office, who isn't pulling their weight, or if you have somebody among your friends who isn't playing ball in the sense that they're not cooperating or helping other people, then that bad or rotten apple can spoil things for everybody else. Okay, so if there's somebody who doesn't fit into a team at work, usually they find a way to move them to another team or suggest to them that they should go and work in another company, because one bad apple can spoil everything else. So a bad or a rotten apple is not something that we like to see in work situation. We don't like to see it in the classroom. We don't like to see it in the family. Yeah, so there's a bad or a rotten apple. It turns everything else sour. It makes everything else go bad. And it just has a bad influence on everything. So a bad or a rotten apple. And then finally, number 10 is to cherry pick. Okay, so when we cherry pick, we pick the best. That's literally what it means, to pick the best. Okay, so if you want to pick the best 5 players or the best 10 players or the best 11 players, or whoever you get the choice to pick the best, you cherry pick. You pick number 1 and number 3 and number 5 because they are the best players. Okay, so you get the chance to cherry pick, to pick the really good ones. Okay, so if you go into the fruit store and you're picking apples, not buying them in a bag, you select them, you look them, you check the skin that there's no damage, so you cherry pick. You pick the ones that are the best, that there's no likelihood of them going bad. Okay, so cherry pick is an expression that we use to suggest that we always have the ability to pick what we want. We don't just accept what we are given. Okay, so if you go to a new company and they're setting up a new marketing division or sales division, and you ask the boss, well, this team that I have, am I able to pick my own people? Yeah, look, you have full freedom, you have control to pick who you wish. You can cherry pick whoever you want. Okay, so that's our 10 idioms dealing with fruit. Number 1, going bananas, or you're driving me bananas. Number 2, the apple of your eye, the apple of your eye. Number 3, apples and oranges, apples and oranges. Number 4, to go pear-shaped, pear-shaped. Number 5, a bite or a second bite of the cherry. Number 6, the cherry on top of the cake, the cherry on top of the cake. Number 7, to upset the apple cart, to upset the apple cart. Number 8, sour grapes. Number 9, bad or rotten apple. And number 10, the last one, to cherry pick something, to cherry pick. Okay, so 10 particular idioms dealing with fruit. As I said at the beginning of our lesson, if you have any difficulties and you need to practice or you don't understand any of these idioms dealing with fruit, or indeed if you find a couple of other ones that I haven't included and you want to check and see how you use them, just write to me, contact me at www.englishlessonviaskype.com. Always happy to hear your contributions, your ideas, and we can include them in future videos and lessons. Okay, this is Harry saying goodbye. Thanks for listening. Join me again soon.